U.S. President Donald Trump is heading to Las Vegas today after the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. So far this week, the White House has steered clear of the growing and heated conversation over gun access in America. So how will the president navigate his first response to major gun violence? Joining us now with his thoughts is Republican strategist Evan Siegfried. Thanks so much for being here this morning, Evan.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
So let's put ourselves in the minds of the White House. How do you think the people in the White House see today's visit? Is it a political opportunity, or is it a symbolic way to unite the country?
Well, from the White House staff perspective, it's both. But from the perspective they want to present to the public, it's purely an apolitical opportunity. The president is going representing the American people to thank the law enforcement and other first responders who responded to this horrible tragedy. And he's also going to visit with the victims and to be the comforter in chief. At the same time, it is entirely political behind the scenes because everything the president does will impact the upcoming gun rights debate in the United States.
Evan, everything we know about this president it tells us that there are really two Donald Trumps. There's scripted Donald Trump, and then there's off-the-cuff Donald Trump. We've heard President Trump read a prepared statement from the Oval Office. Do you think he'll be less scripted today? And if so, what tone do you think that will strike?
He'll be less scripted with the first responders and victims, but I think it will be an appropriate tone. Whenever he's talking about and praising people, he has never gotten himself into that much trouble as compared to when he's trying to attack others. I think that the president is going to try and have that feel your pain moment. And those moments, as we've seen from responses to Harvey, Irma, and yesterday in Puerto Rico with Maria, have been a lot more awkward. It came out, or the video of him yesterday of shooting a basketball shot of paper towels to people who were impacted by Maria is not an optical image the president or the White House will really like at the end of the day. But I think that a lot of this stuff that he's going to be doing today will be off camera. The first responders will be on camera, but many of the victims in their hospital beds, I think those will be much more private and intimate moments.
You know, as we've talked about already, gun control, once again, a huge, possibly biggest policy discussion in America today. Is there a fear that this could overshadow whatever the president does today, even if it turns out that what he doesn't put his foot in his mouth, he doesn't step on his own toes? Do you think that this just becomes bigger than whatever he does?
Oh, the debate is already raging at this point. We saw it begin to happen literally at 8 a.m. on Monday morning when there were Democrats sending out emails saying, I propose this policy proposal to stop events just like last night in Vegas. Now, a lot of these proposals had nothing to do with Vegas or were just too premature because we still didn't know what had happened. There was a proposal to ban suppressors in the United States. And there are 1.3 million suppressors in the United States that are registered with the U.S. government. But last year, only 44 suppressor-related crimes were referred for prosecution. And obviously, a suppressor was not used in the horrible attack in Las Vegas. At the same time, we had a lot of Republicans coming out and saying, from my cold, dead hands. I think that we have to have an honest and frank policy discussion about gun rights and gun control. I think that trying to address gun problems and gun violence and gun deaths from a mass shooting standpoint is not as effective as having a conversation about what the true number of gun deaths really is. There are 2 times the number of gun deaths from suicide in the United States than there are from homicide. And nobody is talking about getting better access to mental health care and helping people avoid suicide. If we took care of suicide prevention, that's over 22,000 American lives that would still be here every year if we were able to stop them from committing suicide. Whereas in the U.S., it's only about 11,000 gun homicides.
Evan, if that's the beginning of a larger conversation, I hope a lot of people take advantage and start talking. I want to pivot just a moment and ask you about Puerto Rico. We mentioned the visual, the optics of the basketball shots. Beyond that, how do you think that trip went for the president?
I think it really played into, depending upon, you liked it if you root for the president, and you didn't like it if you don't. I think the president has gotten himself into a corner where he has been saying for days, if not over a week now, that the response has been great. And the president is wrong on that front. He's trying to present a PR front to what was a logistical nightmare that would have really hurt any president out of the gate. But the president getting in a fight with the mayor of San Juan over the weekend and then trying to paint a rosier picture than what's going on is absolutely detrimental to the situation. As of Saturday, only 5% of people in Puerto Rico have power. And or 90% don't even have cell service. 45% have drinkable water. That's not a great success story. That's a huge problem when you're talking about 3.4 million American citizens. And I think that the president needs to knuckle down and really ensure that American and federal authorities respond quickly, and because this is turning into a humanitarian crisis.
Evan Siegfried, always great to talk to you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.